I would like to welcome the audience to the March 22nd, 2022 Parish Planning, and Zoning Board meeting. Would you all please stand while Julia Dickerson says the invocation and pledge of allegiance?
Father God, we come before your presence this evening. We ask that you be with the board and give us wisdom as we try to make the best decision for the community. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Christie, would you please call the roll?
Chair Kirk Smith,
Here.
Vice Chair Julia Dickerson,
Here.
Ms. Latricia Cobb,
Here.
Mr. Keith DeBrock,
Here.
Ms. Sharon Galicia,
Here.
Ms. Janelle
Here.
Hyatt, Mr. Art Little,
Here.
Mr. Jake Forshey is absent, Mr. Carl Vincent. Here. Mr. LaSalle Williams is also absent, Ms. Deanne Winey.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. This is an 11-member board. It will take a majority of those members present to grant or deny any request heard tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless that vote might affect the outcome. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the requests from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone, state your name, address, and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicants need to fill out a blue Request to Appear form located in the back of this room. The form must be given to a staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. Opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there's a large group wanting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speaker request forms are submitted, the time allowed for the individual speakers will be limited based upon the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend, or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. The variance and exceptions are final tonight. The road abandonment, sewer easement abandonment, and rezoning cases will go before the police jury for final action on Thursday, March 24th, 2022. This meeting is being filmed by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.calcasiewparish.gov. Channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Vinton, DeQuincy, and Gillis. Channel 99 in Carlos and Grand Lake. Please either turn off or silence all electronic devices. Before we begin, I want to point out that item 8A on our agenda has been withdrawn. That is the request by Lakewood Bible Fellowship of Lake Charles. So if you're here for that, I want to make you aware of that. Take appropriate action. Take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 15th, 2022 Planning and Zoning meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Dickerson, second by Mr. DeBrock. All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, minutes are approved. Take appropriate action on the following application. 700 block of Burton Shipyard Road in Ward 4, abandon and revoke the original road and right-of-way dedication of a portion of Burton Shipyard Road, approximately the east 5,872.21 feet. The applicant, Driftwood LNG, LLC. This is abandonment dash 0222-0026. I will entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Cobb. There's a second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
Burton Shipyard Road is located in the Carlos area, and the applicant owns the majority of the land on both sides of the portion proposed for abandonment. If approved, the applicant plans to utilize the road and property as part of a future development. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation, if they're present? There being none, is there any questions or comments by the board? Mr. Little?
Chairman, I guess for the staff, in regards to the abandonment, this one and the next one covers almost 3 miles of existing roads and right-of-ways to be abandoned, 17 to 20 acres of land. I know Driftwood is coming in to do a large expansion. Are they friendly to the area in regards to compensation to any of the schools or any of the districts, these various districts in the area, sporting events or hunting and fishing activities in that particular area to help the taxpayers out of any way?
I know there's a representative here on behalf of Driftwood, but I would say that, yes, they are probably very involved in the community. I know in this general area out here, I know they've contacted most all of the landowners out there. In fact, they've bought out a lot of those lands, those properties out there. And so, but yes, this abandonment, both of these roads, it's required so they can do their project. I mean, it's actually, the project itself is going to traverse over these particular roads, and so it's required to do it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Take appropriate action on the following application: 7500 block of Global Drive in Ward 4, abandon and revoke the original road and right-of-way dedication of a portion of Global Drive, the south and east 6,456.59 feet. Again, the applicant, Driftwood LNG LLC. This is case AB 0222-027. I will entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Hyatt, second by Ms. Cobb. Ms. Tunn.
This abandonment goes along with the previous case. Global Drive is in the Carlos area off of Burton Shipyard Road. The applicant owns the land on both sides of the portion proposed for abandonment. The approval of this road abandonment is contingent upon and includes the approval of a corporate endeavor agreement between the police jury and Driftwood to address road improvements necessitated by the abandonment. If approved, the applicant plans to utilize this property as part of the future development. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to this agenda item? There's no blue cards on this matter. Any comments or questions by the board? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Item 6C, take appropriate action on the following application: 2205 Houston River Road in Ward 4, abandon and revoke the original sewer easements. The sewer easements within Sasol's industrial complex and the old Bel Air subdivision and Lincoln Heights subdivision are no longer used for public purposes. The applicant, Sasol Chemicals USA LLC, and this is case AB-0222-0028. Excuse me, 28. I will entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
The applicant is requesting to abandon the original sewer easements that are located within Sasol's complex. These sewer easements are no longer used for public, and after review of the sewer district, they have no objection to this request. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation? Any comments or questions by the board members? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, the motion carries. Item 7A, take appropriate action on the following application. 2908 Post Oak Road in Ward 4, a variance to decrease the side yard setback requirement of a communication tower, required 87.5 feet, requesting 37.5 feet. The applicant, Keith Kennard Sheltley, and this is variance dash 0222-0201. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Todd.
This property is located in the Sulphur area and is zoned light commercial. The applicant will lease a 75-foot by 75-foot parcel to construct a communication tower. The setback requirement for the tower is half the distance of the height of the tower, which would be 87.5 feet. If approved, the tower setback will be 37.5 feet from the north property line. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? We have no blue cards on this item. Any questions or comments by the board? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Exceptions. Item 8A again has been withdrawn. That was Lakewood Bible Fellowship of Lake Charles. Item 8B, take appropriate action on the following application. 2149 Sutherland Road in Ward 1, exception to allow residential development, a manufactured home. The applicant, Michael Wayne Clanton. This is exception case 0222-0133. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Dunn.
This property is in Moss Bluff and zoned single-family residential. The applicant's home was damaged due to Hurricane Laura, and they have been residing in a recreational vehicle on their property. The applicant would like to place a manufactured home on the property to serve as their residence until they can replace it with a single-family residential dwelling. The parish code requires an exception by the board to allow manufactured homes within a single-family residential zoning district. Because this area is predominantly traditionally constructed single-family homes, the staff recommends the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that the manufactured home be skirted prior to utilities being connected. Now, our office has received written opposition to this case.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation? Please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Named Michael Wayne Clanton, address 2149 Sutherland Road. I had an applicant in for the mitigation flood grant. I don't know if she forgot to turn it in or not, but I got denied. So they tell me maybe next year. So this is really temporarily, hopefully. I miss my house. I've been living in that trailer a year and a half now. I just, if I could please just give me maybe 4 or 5 years. I got 2 more years till retirement, so I really can't go into debt anymore. I would like to move back to Tennessee. So I know I got a lot of people wanting to buy that property. Everybody that wants to buy it tells me not to change anything. They want to level it anyway. So if I could just put something temporarily right now, that's all I'm asking. Please. My elevation, it needs to come up 1.5 feet if I build anything. I'm below the water level. And I figured the easiest way to get it elevated would just be a double wide. That put me about 2 feet above the trailer, above the flood stage. And I've talked to all my neighbors. They don't have any problems with it. I apologize to them because I really hate to stoop that low myself. But I ain't really got no choice at this time, other than throw myself at your mercy.
You said temporary. Could you tell us what you mean by temporary?
Until if I get a grant, I'd like to rebuild. But the property right, well, my land is higher elevation, just within 20 feet to the west. I could build one right there. I'd have to have a grant to get that because I work at a shipyard. I really don't have the money. I'd love to build a fine home there, but I just don't have the money. I'm 2 years from retirement. I really hate to go into debt and have something my children have to pay off. And 2 years from now, all this hurricane messed out the law. I would like to move to Tennessee. So the place will be sold and the trailer will be gone. So it's not going to be permanent if you're going to allow me just to do this.
Is there a question? Did you have a question?
I have a
Dee?
question for the staff. But if he sells it with a trailer on it, it's there. They don't have to move it. I mean, once it's there, it's there.
Unless you put a condition on it. That's good.
Any other questions for the gentleman?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. We don't have any blue cards on this item.
I think, did y'all, all the letters, I
All
think.
the letters
Yeah,
are
we-
attached in your tablet.
Okay.
Yeah, there should have, we received multiple letters from the neighbors and regarding this, and so, in opposition. And so,
Okay. Mr. Little?
Mr. Chairman, if it's within reason and acceptance, I'd like to see that if this thing would pass, that it have a 2-year grant 2 years on this placing a mobile home, and at which time, after that, it would have to be removed and a new home be built on that property. If it's legal at this time, I'd like to make that an amendment to the application.
Mr. Little, if I may, I'm trying to write you a nice motion to amend the main motion. So your motion would be to add a third stipulation, or third condition, rather, that the exceptional use be allowed for a period of 2 years from this date.
Correct.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Second by Ms. Hyatt. All those in favor to that? To this amendment?
you can discuss it.
Any item further to discuss on that matter? On the amendment as proposed by Mr. Little, all those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, on the entirety of this issue, Ms. Christie, roll call vote.
Mr. Little,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent, Ms. Whining,
Yes.
Ms. Dickerson,
No.
Ms. Cobb,
Yes.
Ms. Galicia,
No.
Ms. Hyden.
Motion passes. Okay. Item 8C.
Wait, she had a question. So applicant
Mr. Clanton, did you recognize that this board just passed this 2 years? He knows, Ms. Cobb. Thank you. Okay, take appropriate action on the following application. 4201 East Goche Road in Ward 3, exception to allow a communication tower, 155 feet. The applicant, Open A1 Ranch, Inc. This is exception 0222-0134. I will entertain a motion for approval with condition.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Dickerson, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located in South Lake Charles area, zoned agricultural. The applicant will lease an 80-foot by 80-foot parcel of land to construct a communications tower. If approved, the initial carrier tenant on this tower will be AT&T. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the condition that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? There are no blue cards on this agenda item. Any questions or comments by the board? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Item 8D, take appropriate action on the following application, 6398 Corbina Road in Ward 3, exception to allow residential development, a manufactured home. The applicant, Christopher Reeves, et Ux. This is exception 0222-0135. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is also located in South Lake Charles and zoned single-family residential. The applicant's home was damaged due to Hurricane Laura and has been removed from the property. The applicant would like to place a manufactured home on the property as a permanent dwelling. The parish code requires an exception by the board to allow manufactured homes within a single-family residential zoning district. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that the manufactured home be skirted prior to utilities being connected, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, and that permitting is subject to sewer approval from the Louisiana Department of Health and Sanitation Department.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation? Nope. We do have a blue card in opposition to this agenda item. Mr. Kerry Charles.
Mr. Chairman, as the speaker walks to the podium, reminder of 3 minutes.
Mr. Charles, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Kerry Charles, and I reside at 3132 Ridge Road. And I'm contesting the placing of this mobile home in this particular area. Okay, the area that they're talking about is from Highway 14 to Goche Road. And then within that area, all the dwellings are single-family homes. And the property that he was talking about was a single-family home until it was destroyed as a part of the hurricane. Right, the only exception to this is a trailer park that's located right when you come off of the Highway 14 area. And that has been a disgrace and an eyesore for the 20-some-odd years that I have lived there. Also, I'm looking at the northern addition to Corbina, where the Morganfield subdivision is taking place. And I see the fact that we're looking at 2 new schools coming into that area, and also the charter school not very far away. And I can see that this will not help with property values in our area if we allow that trailer home to move in. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Charles.
Okay.
Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation?
Good evening. I bought this property.
Name and address for the record,
I'm sorry,
sir.
Chris Reeves. It's 6327 Corbina Road. I bought this property, it was demoed. A lot of people was using it, it's vacant, it's stealing, everything else. And the reason I bought this property, because my understanding was to put a mobile home. I talked to my neighbors around me, all three sides. Over to the right of me, there's a mobile home. It's on the back road, there's a second home off of it. I have a dump site 6 blocks from me to the north. I don't want to be a disgrace, but, by a mobile home. How are you a disgrace? Because you own a mobile home. Now, value, I wouldn't put no old mobile home there. I'd put something of value. But I don't feel like it'd be a disgrace. I wouldn't do that, so. I asked if if not, then I understand. Because I don't want to disgrace my neighbors. I want to get along with them, so. Thank you.
I have a
Hold on,
question.
sir. Ms. Galicia?
Mr. Reeves, you didn't live there before the storm?
No, ma'am, I bought. I
You just
purchased.
bought it
Yes, ma'am.
demoed?
Yes, ma'am. And I demoed, cleaned it up. It was pretty bad, so, yes, ma'am.
Ms. Cobb?
It's not gonna be your residence.
Now, that's up in there. We're fixing our home now, so it would probably be our residence for a little while until we get a home. We live in Carlos. Same thing with everybody else with insurance companies. But that was my plan, yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for the gentleman?
What do you plan on doing with it once you move back to Carlos? Is it gonna be rental property or?
It could be rental
Sell
or
it?
sell it, to be honest, If I can get ahead in life like everybody next to me. But that was my plan. Actually, it's for sale sign on it now because I couldn't put a mobile home on it. I went out and jumped out and spent my money on a piece of property I got lied to about, but I don't know all that. When you go in to buy a property, the legal words and what all you get. So I was told to go try this, and if it's a disgrace to my neighbors, then I just have to sell it, because I don't want to disgrace my neighbors.
So you would actually sell it?
If I can't get a mobile home, yes, ma'am. I have to. I know my hands are tied. I can't build 2 homes. I can't afford to finish my home, So, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for the gentleman? Thank you, sir. No, that's it.
Question for the staff.
Sure.
Yeah, y'all recommended a yes, but I don't see any other mobile homes close to there. Are there besides that mobile home park?
Property to the west of this track is zoned mixed residential, and in the green
Oh, right
zone,
there.
that allows manufactured homes. So behind him, we took that into consideration when we made our recommendation.
Okay.
Excuse me. Could I make a rebuttal?
No, sir, no, sir. Thank you. Oh, her question was, how far is it from the school?
If I'm looking at, yeah, there we go.
It's a ways.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions? Ms. Christie, roll call vote?
Mr. Vincent? No. Ms. Winey?
No.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
No.
Mr. DeGraw?
No.
Ms. Felicia?
No.
Ms. Hyatt?
No,
1 for, 7 against.
Motion fails. Item 8E, take appropriate action on the following application. 1900 block of Daly Road in Ward 4, exception to allow residential development, modular home, applicant Gary Poole Edux. This is exemption 0222-0138. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is located in Carlos and zoned single-family residential. The applicant would like to place a modular home on the property to serve as their residence. The parish code requires an exception by the board to allow a modular home on the property. Because similar requests have been granted in the immediate area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that development adhere to stormwater best management practices.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation at this time? There being no, we have no blue cards on this agenda item.
You have attached to your tablets the letters of opposition and the letter of, for it.
Right. So there is a letter of opposition. I thought
And the
there was.
applicant, you can ask them.
Right,
yeah,
that's
if
why I was a
they-
little
yeah.
surprised there was no blue card. Would the applicant like to come to the podium? Because we don't have a blue card, but we do have a letter of opposition to that. Sure. Today, most of you probably got the email sent to us from these folks regarding that particular response to this opposition. So I think that's what you're saying, you're fine with that. Any questions from the board on this matter? Roll call vote, Christie.
Ms. Whiting?
No.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Ms. Felicia?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt? Mr. Little?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
6 for and 2 against.
Motion passes. Item 9A, take appropriate action on the following application. 1662 Miller Street in Ward 1, rezoned from light commercial to heavy industrial, restricted, I-2R, to allow an expansion of an existing solid waste site, construction and debris landfill. The applicant, James Cheney Edux, this is rezone case 0222-0225. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Dickerson, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tunn.
This property is in Moss Bluff off of North Perkins Ferry Road and Miller Street. The existing construction and debris site has been in operation since 1979, which is prior to the adoption of the parish's comprehensive zoning. At this time, the applicant is requesting the property be rezoned to heavy industrial restricted to allow an expansion of an existing solid waste site. If approved, the solid waste site will expand horizontally to approximately 83 feet in height. Based upon the information provided, and because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that a 50-foot buffer be maintained along the east and south property lines, that a landscape plan must be submitted and approved by the Division of Planning and Development, that vegetative planting must only use native trees and shrubs as listed in the appendix in the Parish Code of Ordinances, that all appropriate permits, local and state, be obtained, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering. And we
Thank you,
have
Ms.
received opposition.
Thank you, Ms. Tunn. We have
Mr.
we have
Chairman.
opposition and some.
I'm sorry, did you say horizontal or vertical? That's vertical.
Sorry, vertical.
vertical.
It's
I'm
going
sorry,
vertical.
vertical.
Okay.
Just wanted to clarify.
Thank you.
Does the applicant have anything to present?
Mr. Chairman, you indicated there were speakers on both sides. How many do we have?
We have 3 for and 1 against.
Does the 3-4 include the applicant?
No, no,
Okay, so 3 minutes each would be fine?
right. Let's see. Ms. Bissoni. Okay. Mr. Johnson.
My name is Blaine Johnson. I'm with Southland Environmental. Our address is 510 Clarence Street here in Lake Charles. We're an environmental consultant firm that works with the applicant on operating this facility in accordance with the regulations. And the main thing I just wanted to point out, and it's kind of been brought up already, that the expansion is not a horizontal expansion. It's not getting wider. It's just we're asking for a little bit of higher elevation on the final contours. And we've already ready to have the DEQ permit issued. They got a draft permit ready to go once this gets taken care of. So I just wanted to point that out and make sure y'all were aware of that. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Question, please, sir, before you leave.
Oh, sure.
What is the height? What's the elevation from existing grade or top of road?
Well, the final elevation is going to be 83 feet MSL, but the site right now is more like around 50 or 60 feet right now. So it's got a little bit more to go. Is what we're asking for in the application with
Really
the
just
with
about
the
20
DEQ.
feet.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Justin Brashear?
I'd like to reserve my time as well.
Let's see, our opposition is Renell and Lisa Vassal.
My name is Lisa Vassal, and I've been living in Moss Bluff on Bertrand Avenue for 42 years at 2611 Bertrand Avenue. And I also own lot number 49 on Miller Street, which is directly across from the waste disposal. My son plans on building a house there in the future and having a family, and the dump site is right across the street. We're against it because of property value, because we sold a house next door, and they actually had to measure where the disposal site was before. It would have lowered our property value, but they were just far enough that we was able to not lower it, but we were told that it will lower it when it comes closer to our subdivision, and we're right there. And we don't like the ideal of the traffic, the smell, you know, and we're against it. And we got two other neighbors that didn't get the address right tonight to come here, but they will be here Thursday night.
Okay. Any questions from Ms. Vassal? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Bissoni?
Robin Bissoni, 1010 Lakeland Drive, Lake Charles, 70605, representing James Cheney, the applicant. This requirement for the rezoning is due to a DEQ executive order post-storm. So receiving new construction debris due to the storm is what is requiring the expansion. So DEQ approved that. But part of that approval said you need to check with your local government entity. But whatever happens tonight, the landfill doesn't go away. Been here since 1979. Actually, having this expansion and having this added to it will actually assist the property owners in properly filling the pit now so that sloping and proper closure can take place. So if he were to have to not be able to rezone and have to stop receiving, it wouldn't allow him to dress it out like it should, and then at some point have vegetative growth cover the soil. So post filling, it will still be present, but it will be covered with vegetative cover, and this will allow that, and it will also allows him to. It allows you as the governing body to require the stipulations, and that would. The property owner is fully prepared to enact all those required stipulations, the landscape plan and the vegetative planting that will allow dressing up and closure and reducing the visibility of the project. The photos you have do depict it very well. That's all we have. I'm available for any questions if you have any. Yes, ma'am.
How much hurricane debris is left for us to dispose of? I imagine there's a lot left.
Yeah, I wish I knew.
Well, I mean, we gotta put it somewhere. And okay, okay.
And this is receiving debris from the parish laterals as well, so definitely helping the drainage in our area.
Any other questions? Mr. Little?
I guess it may be for the staff also. So the rezoning of this is not necessarily for the closing of the existing one, but to add additional fill of debris into that site before you close it? And how long do you think before this thing is closed?
Go ahead. Do you want to?
Yeah,
Well-
I would like to address that question.
When you come to the podium, we'll get that.
He's the applicant.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bassoni. Now, sir, would you come to the podium?
Here in a minute. My name is Justin Brashear. Office address is 1505 Common Street. I am legal counsel to the applicant and work with Robin on a lot of this process, so I may be a little bit more knowledgeable on some of the questions that are asked here. Not to belabor the point, but I think Robin hit some high points there. This project is worked in conjunction with DEQ. Mr. Cheney has already taken on a tremendous amount of volume from the storm, in addition to his drainage lateral cleanup with the parish, as was kind of touched on. A couple things from a legal standpoint here is that, you know, the current situation that Mr. Cheney has, what we're trying to do is we're trying to fulfill our requirement to the government, first and foremost. But secondly, the current dynamic that we have in place at the fill, if we were to be stopped and we couldn't exceed where we are now, it would require Mr. Cheney to come in and turn over a lot of the material that's already composting, which does pose a potential environmental hazard, and also could pose a fire hazard because you have composting material that would be turned over and exposed to air. So it is a potentially dangerous situation if we aren't allowed to fulfill what we have planned right now with the DEQ permitting through this process. One thing that I'd like to add as well, to discuss a little bit about with Miss Lisa, her I guess her issue with property value. As was discussed earlier, this expansion is not a horizontal expansion, so this pit's not getting any closer to anyone else, maybe to God. That's the only person it gets closer to because it has to finish out and go higher, but it doesn't actually expand the footprint vertically. So that's one other thing. Now, to answer some questions, Ms. Galeesi, I believe you asked, they have taken on storm debris since this happened. They probably, in my conversations, again, not to breach any sort of deal, we're looking at 15 to 18 months still of debris coming in from the hurricane on top of the laterals and everything else that they take in. Mr. Little, to answer your question, I think that the closure of the site would coincide with that debris. In talking with my client, I think that he feels there's enough debris that's still to be received that would allow him to properly slope everything out if we're allowed to expand up to that height. And I'm available for any other questions.
So if this thing does not pass, what happens to that landfill?
It stays exactly as it is. Mr. Cheney would have the ability to, and I would defer to their counsel on this one. My understanding is that Mr. Cheney would have the ability to still take debris in up to his current permitted, his current permit. What the problem would be is that they would have an uneven undulation and slope. So it would be a really big, it would be a much bigger eyesore if he were not allowed to do this and have to just fill in where he is and have sort of a lopsided or off-sided slope. But to answer the question, I think someone alluded to it, whether this is permitted or not, the landfill is not going away. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to finish out our agreement with the state and then have it finished and capped off in the safest and most effective and aesthetically pleasing way possible.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Brashear? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. We've addressed all the blue cards. Any questions or comments by the board and staff on this agenda item? There being none, Ms. Christie, roll call vote.
Ms. Whining,
Or,
did you say yes?
I'm so. Yes.
Ms. Dickerson?
Yes.
Ms. Cobb?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Felicia?
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt? Mr. Little?
Yes.
And Mr. Vincent?
Motion passes. Item 9B, take appropriate action on the following application, 7124 Corbino Road in Ward 3, rezoned from agricultural A1 to manufactured home park R-MHP to heavy industrial restricted I-2R to allow an expansion of an existing solid waste site construction and debris landfill. The applicant, Tomasi Disposal Incorporated, this is rezoned case -0222-0226. I will entertain a motion for approval with conditions. Motion by Ms. Cobb, second by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tudd.
This case is similar to the previous case. This property is in South Lake Charles off of Carbina Road. The existing construction and debris site has been in operation prior to 1983. At this time, the applicant is requesting the property be rezoned to heavy industrial restricted to allow an expansion of an existing solid waste site. If approved, the solid waste site will expand vertically from 45 feet to a total of 77 feet. Based upon the information provided and because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that a 50-foot buffer be maintained along the south property line, that a landscape plan must be submitted and approved by the Division of Planning and Development, that vegetative planting must only use native trees and shrubs as listed in the appendix in the Calcasieu Parish Code of Ordinance, that all appropriate permits, local and state, be obtained, that the development adhere to the site plan, that development adhere to stormwater best management practices, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering.
Deep breath, Ms. Tudd. Thank you. Does the applicant have anything to add to this presentation, if the applicant is present? If not, we do have one blue card in favor of. Mr. Johnson, would you like to speak on the item?
Again, my name is Blaine Johnson. I work with Southland Environmental. We're at 510 Clarence Street here in Lake Charles. Site is very much similar to one we just went through, but I just want to make sure y'all understand the same thing for this landfill is that it's not expanding horizontally. It's only going up a little higher than it is now. We're working with the DEQ on the permits on that, and they're ready to issue. They have a draft permit issued already. This site's also helped serve the parish as well as the city of Lake Charles, and they're doing everything they need to do to be in compliance with what's going on.
Any questions for Mr. Johnson?
Question. When this thing is closed and it's planted with grass or whatever, who's responsible to maintain this?
Anybody that has this kind of landfill, they're required for at least 3 years to do post-closure monitoring and taking care of the site. And they have to submit annual reports to the LDEQ showing them what they're doing with that site. And after that 3-year period, if it's if the vegetation is taken over the cover, and if there's not a bunch of erosion or anything, the DEQ will say, okay, you don't have to send us annual reports anymore. And that's where the post-closure ends, after 3 years. But it is a minimum of 3 years.
You had a question?
Just as the last one, and I think you asked that question, so current height versus where the elevation?
Mm-hmm. From where it's at right now, it's going about another 22 feet higher.
Okay.
That's where it's going to be.
So it looks like it's going to be basically 77 feet in the air when
Yes,
it's
sir.
covered.
That's the
Over basically a 10-acre area.
That's the That's the elevation, yeah,
Right.
it's not 70-something feet total, I mean, you know, from 0 to 77,
Yes,
the
sir.
ground's a little higher than that, yeah, but you're correct.
Any other questions for him? Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Okay, there is no opposition on this item. Is there any questions for the staff on this agenda item? There being none, all those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Item 10, the next agenda item is to advise that the police jury took the following action on February 17th, 2022, with reference to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board from February 15th, 2022 meeting. Let's see, succession of Edward Bolton, Southside Street, Planning and Zoning recommended approval, police jury approved. Keelan Holdings, Gulf Highway, Planning and Zoning recommended approval, police jury approved. Palvest Inc., Soybean Street, Planning and Zoning recommended approval, police jury approved. Kim Broussard, Kim Street, Planning and Zoning recommended approval, police jury denied. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held Tuesday, April 19th, 2022. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Dickerson, second by Ms. Winey. We are adjourned.